previous violations.
Thank you for bringing that up. So what Sarah's talking about is the work that went regarding the SMA minor permits and work that occurred on the property without permits over the years. And so there's been a whole process to clarify and clean up the situation with the approval last August of an SMA minor permit. So certain conditions in there have been fulfilled to the best ability of the owners. There's still some permits that are held up at the city, such as electrical and such. So one of the things that has to be done is paving of the parking lot. Again, I'm pointing at the future, not today. And that can't happen without the city issuing a permit for that, and also the electrical, that's part of that. So there's a couple permits hanging out there that will clarify the final violations that are out there. Sort of like we need the permit to clear that up.
All the violations.
All
Right,
violations are cleared.
Okay, so you want to? I'm sorry, I didn't give the most accurate response to that. So you want to? I think Michael's going to handle this.
The short answer is yes, all the
Please say your name for the
Sorry,
record
my-
and tell us who
My
you
name is
are.
Michael and I'm a consultant with Hanapohaku, so yes, all the violations have been cleared.
Thank you. Okay. So this is Sarah Fong again. One more question, Jeff. Can you please expand for everybody on how Hanapohaku plans to mitigate negative impacts to both the groundwater and the ocean water?
Great. Okay, that's a good point. So this was something that's been brought up by the community over the course of the studies in here, so that we knew for doing the environmental impact statement, we needed to connect all the dots. We needed to address what is going into the groundwater on the property. So we hired one of the preeminent groundwater specialists, Tom Nance, to examine the groundwater. They established monitoring wells on the property, and then we basically looked at the inputs to the groundwater as has been discussed here. And that's primarily from the on-site wastewater treatment facility and the disposal system for that. Now, you can't just build one of these and put stuff in the ground. You've got to put a plan together, and it has to be approved by the State Department of Health before you can actually operate this. And so this system has been designed in a preliminary form and presented to the Department of Health, and they're concurring. They're agreeing with the design approach that we're taking to handle the wastewater on the property. So that's the major input to the groundwater. The question is, where does it go from there? So the EIS covered this in great thoroughness. We modeled the groundwater flow underneath the property, and this contribution from the property is about 6,700 gallons of treated wastewater. It's treated again to the level that's approved by the Department of Health for application for ground disposal. We have to use double the disposal capacity on the property, so there's no chance of an overflow. We have to meet all those standards. And then this water joins the water that's coming down the hill from Pupukea. There's over 500 individual systems in Pupukea, including 287 cesspools that exist today. And we're not here to approve those, but the small incremental addition of this treated wastewater basically comes out as no significant change when it reaches the ocean. So that's why we had our third study, which is a very detailed technical study of the ocean water off Sharks Cove. We did 4 different transects. Dr. Steve Dollar worked on it. And the reports have all been reviewed by the agencies in the commenting and reviewing process on the EIS, and we've responded to them appropriately. So the chain of water flow, as was raised in the surferater comments, are basically addressed in full in the EIS, and it's been reviewed and scrutinized by all the different regulatory agencies that are responsible for this, including the Department of Health. So we believe we've handled that. Now there's one more piece of the puzzle, is surface water and runoff, and a lot of people have talked about that. And Blake brought up the fact that we had rainfall during the recent tropical storm passage. And so how are we handling the runoff from the property? And that was one of the big questions that we wanted to address in the planning. So what's really important is to understand that on the property, we've got an opportunity with the redevelopment to basically manage the runoff from the entire property. And so, in short story, we actually, our engineers, we have 20 civil engineers at Group 70. We teach low impact development to a lot of people in the professional field because we've got a very educated and esteemed group of professionals that deal with runoff. We are using low impact development measures to route this. As Mike Lyons says, we need a swale. So actually running the runoff through swales that are biofiltration swales here. So we use a natural process to take a lot of the contaminants out of the soil. That's basically suspended sediment and whatever urban runoff components would be in the parking lot. And this water is routed down into a collection basin that's down in here. We cannot exceed the amount of runoff that comes off the property today. We have to manage that flow. That's part of the law. And we have to model this for the 10-year storm. So this has to be done with the scrutiny of the city and state agencies to make sure that we manage runoff appropriately. And it's been a high concern. So the truth is, we're actually oversizing the system, so we're going to reduce the runoff, and the water quality will be better coming off the site than it is today.
Thank you.
All right, would the applicant like to address any other comments from the testifiers? Or have you
heard about all of it?
Yeah, you've covered it? Okay. With no further questions, this public hearing is closed. Thank you very much, everybody.
Highway and Country District in the back. The properties, as Sarah said, it's commercially zoned in here. An interesting piece of history, just for those of you who have seen the EIS or the SMA application, you've seen these neat pictures of what was on the property going back into the 70s. And the Nini store, first time I came to Hawaii, I actually went in here, I got a splinter in my foot. I remember it. I was 14. But what a fantastic old place, just seeing these photos. And you can actually see they had a food takeout window here. You can see people lined up here. And some folks may be experienced enough to remember this in the community. But I didn't live here until later on. The flip side of this board, and I apologize for all the exhibits, but I think it helps. The pictures always help. This is the sustainable community plan that your community worked on with the city planning department and eventually the city council to come up with a land use map for the whole North Shore, really. And what it did was define this specific property as the site for the only site on the North Shore for a rural community commercial center. So it's in the long-range plans, and we're basically trying to implement what's been on the books for about 7 years now.
Take the short road to getting things done. Issues have been going on now with this developer for nearly 4 years, with current violations that have not been corrected and is holding up the SMA minor tentative improvements. When will the DPP enforce their own rules and get this sorted out? A response to the draft EIS were the responses to the draft EIS were very short-sighted, vague, boilerplate answers with almost no substance. For example, the EIS shows a fence along Sunset side of the project with no ingress to or from Pahoe Road. The developer has also committed and promised this will remain as part of the project plan. If moved, the whole EIS process must start over. The response to the neighborhood Hui was the final EIS shows a fence with no ingress or to or from Pahoe Road. While this was a response given to Pahoe Road neighborhood Hui, a completely different answer was given to another group. There will be no regular access to the project site development from Pahoe Road, and the owners will commit to this condition. A gate on the property boundary to Pahoe Road will be allowed for emergency access to or from the property for periodic maintenance access. We're wondering why this wasn't originally disclosed to Pahoe residents. What's considered maintenance, daily trash pickup, backup beepers, the noise levels, all that stuff. It was found and confirmed that an access was not allowed to give access from the lots closest to Pahoe Road to the other 2 lots. Also, it opens to foodland that would give access all the way to foodland from Pahoe Road, which is absolutely unacceptable and not allowed. Pahoe residents asked the DPP to lock in as a condition of the SMA the protection for the neighbors, so no new owners or these owners simply change their mind and start using Pahoe Road. Take down the fence and thumb their nose at the neighbors and community, which should have done from the very start. Regarding the crosswalk and the flashing lights from the development to the Mackay side of the crosswalk is a 4-foot cliff drop off into the parking lot at Sharks Cove. This will cause much more congestion, potential vehicle accidents, pose a risk to pedestrian safety, let alone the erosion that will occur, causing potential runoff into the ocean.
How this project might affect that area. I mean, Jeff could probably somebody an iceberg. He's great to stand up here and say there's no impacts and no cumulative impacts. A lot of people might want to argue that. Okay, so with regard to the impacts on the park, that's what I'm really concerned about. I hope this project in some form goes forward and that is very successful, a lot of jobs, and supports the community. That's sort of what was in the Sustainable Communities Plan. G70 and all their infinite wisdom, referencing the Matsumoto project, it is a nice project, but they have parking challenges. They kind of didn't quite get that right. And the parking is already a problem. If the guys who dive at the Pupukea Marine Conservation District, guys who really want the good parking, they get it when it's dark. By 9 o'clock, you frequently can't find a place to park over there. We are already maxed, close to max a lot of the time. With a fabulous natural asset, what we have is a growing number of people come. At one point, the Hanauma Bay was up to 3 million visitors a year. It was just, they just went, oh, what have we created here? Well, we're sort of in progress. Nothing stays the same, and there's definitely a trend line. What we're heading for right now is enough impact that it'll have negative consequences. And the developer took some shortcuts, they had some violations, they're trying to build trust back, working with G70 is good, but what a lot of people in the Pupukea area don't want is a development maybe similar to Kahuku, where there's the Giovanni trailer park thing, or maybe Gecko Gulch. There's some developments that go on with mobile units that I don't mean to be ethnocentric. Some people think it's great, and but they do tend to attract tourism. This is supposed to be a designated project for people who live in the area and outside the area. But if it's dominated by tourism and choke cars, what it really does is it precludes the ability for people who live in the area to use the area.
You know, I'd like to point something out relative to Mr. Overton's presentation. It says in the North Shore Sustainable Communities Plan that any development on this site should serve primarily the residents. Primarily the residents. And it says that at least 3 or 4 times that I can remember in that North Shore Sustainable Communities Plan. I would challenge Mr. Overton to show, with his display here, anywhere where he includes that quote, that any project here is supposed to serve primarily the residents. This proposal does exactly the opposite. It attracts more tourists, and it will accommodate, and it will cater to tourists.
But I think this project is really good. I also work there, so you guys might see me on the side of the road. I think the other brother that was there said pretty much everything that I wanted to say, so I'll just leave it at that.
Please state your name for the record.
Aloha kākou, my name is Meliana Judd Cox. I am Kelly's daughter, as well as Andrew's sister-in-law. So with my dad not being here, he's actually on the mainland at a solar conference. I just wanted a quick note to defend his integrity that was challenged. I was raised as an environmental activist. I've been attending anti-development meetings since I was a child. Primarily as a young adult, I my interest sparked in organic agriculture. So going to places like Honolulu, Haleiwa, challenging projects like Ho'opili, I felt comfortable doing that. So I do feel uncomfortable coming up in front of a group supporting a development project because it's the first time I've ever done it. Born and raised on Oahu, always called the North Shore my heart home, and really proud to call it my home now, raising a family here. I run a small farm about a mile down the street from the project to be.
Mom skills.
And I'm looking forward to, some of these places being outlets for mine as well as many of my other small farmer friends' locally grown produce. I'm looking forward to the project continuing to be a space of employment for friends as well as tenants of mine. I manage now about 10 long-term rentals, as well as a couple of vacation rentals out here on the North Shore. I'm aware of issues being very complex. And I also want to speak to that early in the project, they did have some missteps, and I was vocal about that in my family, and it was hard. But I think that my dad not being a developer, he has grown up a lot, and partnering with Group 70 has been awesome because they have people to guide them. And I do think that the project has its heart in the right place, and I hope that it moves forward and it becomes a beautiful place that all of us can enjoy, and it hopefully keeps cars off the road, and that some of those parking spots for some of the employees aren't needed because they will get to bike to work, which is a cool thing for the North Shore. And one of the hard things about living in rural places and not having urban density, this is our chance for urban density. This is kind of all we got out here. And I look forward to seeing it grow and hearing more input from everybody. And like I said, the project can be a good place for all of us. Aloha.
I've been a resident of the North Shore for 32 years now, and I went to college at BYU, Hawaii for 7 years. No, I'm not a doctor or a lawyer, but it took me a while. I'm a surfer. But anyway, when I was there, I was about 4 years through it, and I asked my counselor, I said, hey, what should I do with my life? What kind of job should I have? And they said, well, Hawaii's a tourist industry. Do something in that industry. I said, okay, cool. What does that mean? Okay, that's the restaurant, that's the hotel, that's people that are going to get paid off the tourists. I know they're a pain in the ass, but I think we've all benefited a little bit from the tourists, and I think it keeps our livelihood going. And I worked at D'Amico's Pizza for, I don't know if anybody knows where that place was, but I worked there for 10 years. I had a lunch truck, or actually an ice cream truck called Lickety Split that I drove around the North Shore for 20 years, trying to get enough money to get my own restaurant. And I did that at Kami Land. I had a Sunset Pizza there, and I now have Jerry's Pizza in Wailua. And just all the employees that I've hired and saw grow. Most of them kids. A lot of them were struggling. So a bunch of them were special needs kids, and a lot of them were on drugs. And to watch those kids turn around and make a good life for themselves was really cool for me. And I think this is going to create a lot of jobs here. And just if we could turn around 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 kids instead of having them steal and shoot people and kill people, and the crime is out of control. If we could take them off the streets and get them jobs, I think that's what I'm all about. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm Craig Nair, and I'm here to testify in support of the project. I'm a representative of Island Urgent Care, and Island Urgent Care was founded by Robert Ruggieri, who's an MD, emergency room trained physician, started with Kahala Urgent Care years ago, over 10 years ago. He values himself, the services that they provide in the community being a community service. And that's a big part of the developers of locations where we go, is that the owners of those facilities value the service and the community needs that they present. So it started in Kahala, it's expanded to Waikai, Waikiki Kapalulu, Salt with Kamehameha Schools, and Aiea. And in the middle of all this, we put in an LOI and committed to the project to both support the community needs, and to provide a service that substantially doesn't exist within the immediate area, which is emergency room, trained physicians, providing higher level of care, appropriate referrals, employment opportunities, and we just didn't like think, oh, we'll go here no matter what. It was community benefit. It's also consistent with the land use policies and the zoning. Take a moment.
Oh no, Tom.
Thanks, Dave.
Sorry. Tippy. Oh no.
Well, in summary, Island Urgent Care is in support of the project. We'd like to be a tenant, like to help provide services to the community, provide job opportunities, and we look forward to a successful development of the community support. Thank you.
Manny Diaz.
Hello, everyone. It's good to see familiar faces. Thank you. You know, I have an empathy for my friends that spoke up earlier. I grew up in a house in the early 60s, right across the street with the tin roof, the one that's gray. That's where I grew up. I surfed away here before there was a park. We'd walk through the Howe Bush, walk down about 8 feet until they brought 1,000 truckloads of dirt and made it what it is. I'm going to speak on fairness. But first, I hope you guys do not let them take away the turn lane. They did that in Haleiwa redevelopment. I wish it was there. I hope you guys put a swill. I didn't hear anything about a swill. We need a swill there, a large one. Okay? And bathrooms. And we need somebody assigned to take care of it. You go to Costco, and I've told them many times how wonderful their bathrooms are. They got somebody there all the time. Okay? I think these are important things. Tourists, well, you know, a lot of people, I won't point fingers or anything, were very supportive of the Kamehameha redevelopment. A lot of people were very supportive of the gas station right across from Surf and Sea. And they were supportive of the building that's there now. A lot of people hated McDonald's. They made them give up their land and put a left turn lane and a right turn lane. But you know what? It's us guys that go. Very rarely tourists. Rather than continue on and give you another 20 examples, which are there, I'd like to ask you guys to approve this. Because one, what I, you know where I grew up, right? My wife is local, born and raised here, the whole bit. My grandkids go to Kamehameha, I mean the whole thing, right? As with some of you folks. But doggone it, you're chasing every local person out of here and not giving us a chance to own and own our business. Like you guys I go up to Washington, Northern California, Arizona, Nevada. There are more local people there than there are here. Something's wrong. Yeah, I know a lot of people come and they want to make it like where they came from. We don't want that. You look at me, so I gotta tell you, we don't want that. We want local influence. But I look at my brother over there, and we know each other a long time, right? Feels good. When I hear, you know, when I grew up in the 60s, like I told you how it was, change was hard. But you know what? It was for the local people. We had 5,000 tourists for the whole state in a whole year. And it was hard then. 10 guys out here was a crowded day. I'd pack up and go home. We'd sit up here with our headlights on at night surfing. Right? Times change. And the reason they change is because we've chased everybody local out of here. They're gone. So it's local or not, that's up to you. But when I look at other people who are local, and I'm not talking color, I'm talking color. That's where I hurt. Because all you guys going against it, I hope you sit back and reflect on it. When Thomas says he wants to support the neighborhood board, well, now he's got a quandary. We got for and against. So Thomas, thank you. I'm also on the neighborhood board. I was also a policeman for 34 years, okay? So I understand the struggles of the people always in trouble. Most of the time, they're poor. And they're poor because they can't get going. There's no traction. We need to help them.
All right.
And part of that help is give somebody, somewhere, a job.
Please,
Yeah.
please summarize your testimony.
Okay, we're business owners. We employ people. We've had our business in the family since 1959. Okay, as a generation passed, now we have it. So I encourage you, support your family that's here, not highfalutin ideas. Thank you.
I'm a representative from Waialua Federal Credit Union, and in this situation, these are all delicate situations. I would advise to not jump on the bandwagon of misery loves company. Once you get someone's blood boiling over an issue, it's easy to rally the troops. Seeing the facts would be the best thing. I'm here to give my perspective from our standpoint as a representative of the credit union and why we're connected to the project. I think that would probably be the best service of my testimony. We were sought after by the project team for the purpose of incorporating a financial institution that was going to be community oriented. Our membership, we're not a retail bank, we're a nonprofit credit union, and our membership from where we are right now at the Waialua Shopping Center is basically residents who live, work, or worship in the areas of Haleiwa, Waialua, and then stretching all the way to Kahuku. It's a membership-based organization. It's not something where you come in and you can use our services. Hey, you got an ATM? No. We barely have debit cards. We're behind the times, but you know what? We know Auntie that comes in with no shoes on, no account, her no account information because she's just coming there for her $20 for the day. It's a quaint little place to work, and we're very community involved. And they sought after us to be involved with the project. So right away, it alluded to me that the heart of the project was for exactly what they're demonstrating, is that they wanted to be a community space. There are processes and procedures to make sure compliance is upheld. You have to trust that, hey, your representatives, the processes and procedures in place, you have to trust in those. And if you don't, that's a gripe for a different meeting.
We do not trust those.
All right, they seem to be doing the things that they need to do to be within compliance and to play ball and to do it the right way. And all you can do is sit back just like we are and hope that the heart of the project is what comes to fruition. The heart of the project being the community-based space for the young, like the young gentleman said, a place for the young, to come hang out, work, catch some waves. And that's what it's about. It's that family. So we're sitting back and we're hoping for the best as well. That's what captivated us to the project. And again, they're doing their due diligence to make sure that they're in compliance. Let's all be on the same page and hope for the heart of the project to come true, something that's very community. Because we don't need to expand. In fact, I have a family, Rob has a family, we don't want to expand. It's more work to take on a project of adding another location to a credit union. We only have one location. This would be number 2 if we were involved. So it's not like we're money hungry looking for the expansion, but we were sought after and we were definitely willing to participate if everything, came true. So, sorry, that's all I had. Sorry, I got long-winded.
Hi, everybody. My name is Bonnie Cordero, and I'm just going to introduce myself for a second. I've been in the mental health and substance abuse field for 30 years here on Oahu, and I've worked at the Bobby Benson Center when they first opened. If you don't know what that is, it's a residential treatment program for adolescents. I was a director of the teen care program, which we provided substance abuse services on school sites, at high schools. I was a director of a program. I was a branch administrator for the Department of Public Safety for 2 years, and I was in charge of all the substance abuse programs for correctional facilities in the state of Hawaii. I was a behavioral health specialist with the Department of Education. I worked with special ed for 10 years. Excuse me. And now I'm excited and I worked with a program, it was a home visiting program on the Waianae Coast for pregnant moms. And most of the women that we worked with were homeless. So I've worked with a wide variety of populations. I also was one of the ones that started a substance abuse program. I don't know if anyone remembers this. Back in '93, it was it was behind the Ace Hardware store, when the Chamber of Commerce building was the telephone building behind Ace Hardware. Does anybody remember that? We had an outpatient substance abuse program there for a while. And we served probation and parole people, and people referred by DHS who wanted to try to get their kids back from custody of the state. And now I'm excited to be the program director for COISA, which is a temporary emergency shelter for 12 to 17-year-olds who have been taken out of their homes for abuse, neglect, or abandonment. And I'm super excited about finally working in Haleiwa, working in my own community, because this is an awesome community. And I've been listening to the comments, so I apologize for being late, but I've been listening to the comments. I don't have any heartfelt, I introduce myself so that you know that I'm a heartfelt person. My whole life is about helping people, so I just wanted to let you know that that's what I do. And that's why I'm poor, because we don't get paid that great. But anyway, but what I just want to mention this. My first thought is how can we even be talking about this until the problem at Laniakea is solved? I just don't see how we can even be entertaining this. I mean, it could be the do-all and cure-all and the way to save, the North Shore. But how can we do that until we solve that bottleneck at Laniakea? I just don't understand. And if that was addressed before I came into the room, then I apologize. But that's just my biggest concern. I mean, it may be great, it may be wonderful. But that's what I'm thinking. That's the first thing I thought of. So thank you.
Of them are local young kids, and I have to say about 70% of my business is local business, and I'm pretty proud of that. We do serve a lot of tourists, and a lot of them are returning tourists from year after year, okay? And I really like that and they have been coming, the restaurant is 24 years old, October 15th, it'll be 24 years old. And that being said, I'm neither for or against this project. I just think that there will be some problems, and I think they haven't been addressed correctly, and they never have been. And they've been talking about this project for years now, and it's the same old problems over and over again. And as Bob said very clearly, the biggest one is the runoff into the water. And the biggest problem with that in the beginning was lunch wagons, and they did rectify that because I do know now they do get their wagons pumped. But I understand that one of the problems is going to be they are not going to be connected to the wastewater. They're going to be the wastewater, pump or whatever it is. They're going to have to take care of their own. And I think they should be connected to the wastewater plant because I understand it's a state-of-the-art thing, and I don't know why they can't be connected to that so that we know it is safe. Okay, so that's one concern I have. And the other one is traffic. because it is gonna get jammed up, because you can't even go to the market and get a loaf of bread or a quart of milk because there is no place to park, because there are people parking in there to go to the lunch wagons. I see it all the time. So that's, that's another concern. The other concern is, yes, we have a lot of tourists, and yes, a lot of people make money off them, and people say to me, oh, you must be happy there's so many tourists. Quite frankly, I'd rather see less tourists and make less money, because it is stressful. It's very stressful. I mean, there's many countries now worldwide and even on the mainland where they're only, letting so many tourists in because of the fragile economies. And we're an island. We should probably be thinking about that. We really should. Because it's damaging the ecology. It's damaging, what we have that's so precious here on the North Shore. And even though I have this accent, I've been here for 35 years. So don't let it fool you. And it was hard talking into my phone, so I like to talk with both hands. So I just hope that everybody takes into account everything that's gonna go on. Yeah, it would be great to have the urgent care, the Wailua thing, but who are the other tenants gonna be? Are they really gonna be local companies, or are they gonna be like the new Kamehameha one, where it's gonna be all companies from town, or even companies from the mainland? Are they gonna be the only ones that are gonna be able to afford to be there? Because in Haleiwa now, it's turning into, places from the mainland and companies from town, because it can't be mom and pop stores because they can't afford to be there. Okay, is that what this is gonna be, this whole side of the island? You're talking about give the local people a chance, but they're not gonna be able to afford it. They won't. So those are just some things that I like to point out. Thank you very much.
And I live with a local Hawaiian family in Laie. And just last week, one of the members of my ohana, their Hawaiian kids, Liam just gave him a job. He's still in high school at Kahuku, and I helped him get the job because I saw that he was needing direction and some focus and something to do. And in just 1 week, I have seen this young man change for the better, for positive. He comes home from work, he's all, Uncle Bobby, I'm stoked, man.